Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Bryan W. Adams.
Well, hey, everybody, this is Bryan Adams. Thank you so much for joining today's Inspire podcast. I'm just really excited today with just some of the change in the air, some of the opportunity that we're seeing, some of the just great people that we've gotten to know here on the Inspire podcast. We have just some of the most amazing partners and amazing stories that just have come from this, and really this opportunity for us to just really shrink the company in a lot of ways, in a way for us to just get to know each other better, more intimately, kind of get to know people's backstories and people's where they came from, and just some of the stories that we've heard with, like the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Lenny Anderson yesterday, and just being able to just sit at the feet of an industry icon and hearing about how the good old days maybe weren't as good as everybody thought, but the good old days are right now. And that one was just so much fun for me personally to have that opportunity, especially as somebody I admire so much. Well, today we're joined by two other guys that I don't know what it was about them. Whenever we first met, every time I would be around Bryan and Avi from Your Insurance Group, I don't know why, we would just be at a conference, we'd be somewhere, and I would always be looking for those guys to go up and just hang out with, because they were just always so encouraging and just so refreshing to be around. And I love real people. I love people who are, don't have a lot of airs, and they just are just normal. And these are two guys that my wife and I would always go, man, we're Bryan and Avi, let's go find them and hang out. And I am so excited for other people to get a chance to meet both Bryan McCann and Avi Assouline today, just to learn a little bit more about their story. Whenever the word synergy, I think is kind of overused a lot in different ways. It's used a lot in business, but it is one of those words that can be misused or overused. The idea of synergy is 1 + 1 = more than 2, right? And it's a common cliche that the people sometimes say, well, there's a synergy there. But it's just true that whenever I think about Bryan and Avi and the way that they came together, I mean, they're kind of the yin to each other's yang, and they truly, whenever you add both of these guys together, man, they become more than what they are. From the moment I met these two, it really felt like you were talking to two sides of the same brain. Bryan and Avi are both bursting with energy, and the key is that they know how to harness that energy, and they do it where each one of them uses their own skills that they have to really make each one better, and really complements each other's skills in a way that very few people I've ever seen do. In a lot of ways, their personalities, frankly, couldn't be more different. But they share this common passion for helping people, their clients, employees, and frankly, most of all, helping each other and really growing the business. And I don't think that there's any way that they could have ever been as successful as they have been if they would have been independently working. But by them coming together, that idea of them being able to complement each other and help each other grow and expand and just accomplish what each other's dreams are combined is just really inspiring to me. And so I am so excited to welcome Bryan and Avi from Your Insurance Group into today's Inspire podcast. Bryan and Avi, thanks so much for joining us. Man, we love you guys. I really appreciate y'all taking time out of your busy schedule to just let us get to know you all better.
Thank you, Bryan. That welcome is so heartfelt, and I couldn't be any happier. First of all, Lennox is amazing. He got me jacked up already just starting, and I was excited to maybe hear DJ Booyah today, but Lennox took the mic for sure and ran with it. So I'm so jacked to be here. I'm so excited to be part of this Integrity family, and honestly, we're blessed. And you extending the same honor this morning is all the legends that were in the previous weeks that I've enjoyed every single day. I'm excited. I get on at 9:49, 9:50. I don't want to miss Kendall and AKA Celine Dion, AKA all these famous names we can give her. But it's been amazing, and thank you so much for hosting us today, man. I'm truly so blessed. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to mirror that. I'd love to mirror that, Bryan. Just so you know, I'm so excited and so humbled about that introduction, and I know I can speak for Avi. We are so blessed to be part of this Integrity family, as everyone has been more than a family to us, and I'm beyond excited. Those kind words that I have pretty much this. My attempt is to put this on surround sound throughout my whole house so I could blast it as loud as possible, and hopefully my neighbors can hear it.
Well, Bryan and Avi, you guys are always just so much fun to be with. I mean, these are interesting times like we're living in here. What has been your takeaway? You guys are certainly your business is doing incredibly well. You're helping people. What has been your takeaway, and how have you kind of navigated and worked through this current situation we're going through right now?
Well, I'll tell you that my takeaway, things are good for us now. I mean, we're still writing business and protecting families, and the one thing that I stride on and I talk about probably 560 times a day is I believe the most amazing opportunity is ahead for us once life gets back to normal. I believe that we have this window now. I believe we have this window in 2 months, 6 months, and I believe over the next many years. I think that life has changed. I think the mind frame of people has changed, and especially the target market, which we specialize in, which is final expense. So buckle up, get ready. As we're, again, maintaining and growing during these current times, we're about to explode, as a company. And Integrity is definitely going to see its best performances yet ahead.
Yeah, I can definitely say, I mean, I agree with everything, and we're definitely on the same page with everything as usual, but the growth we're experiencing now, then from that adjustment, that forceful adjustment from telesales, where we're belly to belly, we're face-to-face sales since inception, and then that's since inception of us being agents, but especially now with this adjustments we were forced to make with the support, of course, of the amazing Integrity family. So now we're experiencing some great growth from telesales and all the other channels that are definitely going to catapult us into levels that we sincerely believe we've never seen before in the industry, definitely here at Integrity. But we got to stay focused. When the tides do turn, we got to start moving back to some normal, or maybe the new normal, but that definite positive momentum already in place is going to be a huge difference maker for all of us.
Well, first of all, I love what you just said there about we've got to stay focused. That's one of the things that we've been talking about here every day on these podcasts about how do you stay focused and really your eye out on the positive that is coming, and that's hard to do sometimes. Let's all be honest. But you also said a couple of other things. You used the word catapult. It's going to catapult us going forward, and that momentum. And listen, I think those are both just great ways to describe how I feel as well. We need to be ready for the recovery, and we will be, because everyone in Integrity is working so hard right now and is so focused. Both of you are very familiar with hard work. I mean, you guys are both like the epitome of hard work, and you each have such interesting backgrounds. Like one of the things that I love about what we're doing here on these podcasts is it's like me getting to introduce really good friends to other really good friends, to let them to know each other. And you guys have both just such interesting backgrounds that I would love for you guys to just tell us about your kind of how you grew up and how you got started, how you got in this business, because man, y'all's backgrounds are true American success stories that I think we can all learn from. So Avi, if you don't mind starting, If you don't mind starting, maybe just tell us a little bit about how you grew up, some of your background, because I think this is. I know whenever you first told me about it, I was like just amazed and excited to even learn more.
Sure. I can definitely say both myself and my partner and closest friend Bryan McCann. Also, we both definitely started from I would call it humble backgrounds. That's something that we share in common and is very important to both he and I. And my beginnings from the very beginning, I'll take you back. My family moved from Israel to New Orleans when I was just in first grade, and opened up a restaurant because that's what they had in Israel. That's all they knew. And I recall, I would say my initial challenge of not knowing a single word of English being in first grade. So I would say that's my first challenge for sure. Moving from Israel to New Orleans without a single word of English in my vocabulary.
Wow, man! I've got a first grader now. That would be I can't even imagine what that what that kind of was like. Whenever it had to be a different world, right? So what brought y'all to New Orleans? You grew up in Israel, right? Your family, are they from Israel, and then they immigrated from Israel to New Orleans? How did talk about that whole process?
Sure. Well, the transition, I would definitely call it a transition, which definitely was initially a massive one. My parents, well, I'll take even a step further, Brian. My parents were originally from Morocco, and they moved to Israel for, I would call it religious safety, before they were 20. And all they knew was to get to that beautiful new country and work hard. It's not as easy as it is today in our today's society. So my father is 88, and my mother is, thank God, she's 80, going to be 81 December. So they're definitely of that generation, and working hard is truly an understatement. When I say work hard, it's a small percentage of their definition of working hard. So my mom worked 3 jobs. She used to ride her bicycle to work, so her working 3 jobs to support her young family. And of course, so did my father. It was all about survival for them and saving enough money. And I know the story that they eventually opened up a small food kiosk, because my mom is pretty talented in the kitchen. She can definitely hook it up. So they opened up a small little kiosk, a few square feet. And that little business grew, and they eventually opened up a couple more restaurants. And one of them actually turned out to be the largest and most successful restaurant in the city that I was born in. And it was right on the beach. And my sister got married in that restaurant. It was 700-800 people in that. So it's I can say I was basically born in that restaurant, so that definitely my DNA, if you will. So I was I guess I was around 4 or 5 years old when my parents allowed my sister to visit my aunt who lived in New Orleans at that time. And of course, my other siblings felt cheated, so naturally my parents let them visit as well. Needless to say, they loved that amazing city, and that's when my family decided to kind of pack up, sell their businesses, and they moved to New Orleans. I'm the youngest of 5, so I'm the youngest in that family, and definitely blessed to have amazing siblings who, I would say, took care of me, since my parents immediately did what they know, and that's, of course, you can probably guess, was open up a restaurant in New Orleans. So I can say I quickly learned that hard work and trust have no substitute. I saw that through my parents' eyes. I saw my parents' first restaurant open up downtown New Orleans. Again, all of us are brand new to the country. There was no time to take a breather. It was straight to doing what they had to do, which is survive. So they opened up their first restaurant in New Orleans in a business district, and they served breakfast. So I remember as a kid regularly, they got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go run that restaurant before I got up for school. And I would say that had a big effect on me. I was young, didn't speak English, and needed time to acclimate naturally. All the while, my older siblings, and everyone else was doing the same thing initially with all their sacrifices to make it happen in a new country, Brian. So definitely not easy in the beginning.
Wow, man. So they moved from Morocco to Israel. They started a kiosk to you said 8 foot by 8 foot kiosk, is that right? And then that grew to one of the largest restaurants on the beach in where you grew up in Israel. And then y'all sell everything to move to America and go to New Orleans. You use the word survive there 4 or 5 times. Man, I think one of the things that I hear a lot in like people's like early, people who just really are committed to doing anything that they can to make a better life for their family. A lot of times it's about survival, right? It's like, hey, we're going to do whatever it takes for us to survive, for us to thrive, and that's kind of where the country's at right now. Is like we're all hunkering in place, everybody's sheltering in place. We're all doing our part, and we're gonna do whatever it takes for all of us to survive. But it's really with this focus, this kind of vision of a better tomorrow. We're not just doing this to survive, we're doing this so that we can thrive in the future, which is man, it was just kind of the visual I was hearing whenever you were talking about your parents. Like I can't imagine what it takes to be like, we're going to take our family and we're going to go to a place we don't even know. Like that's an incredible place. So they were in the restaurant business. What kind of food was it?
The good kind, Bryan. The good kind. What else? It's got to be good.
What does that mean? What do you mean the good kind?
No, well, they ultimately opened up a total of 13 restaurants, and what my mom did, she's an incredible cook. She brought in all her ethnic flavors, if you will, to the restaurant business. Well, when we moved to New Orleans, the first restaurant she bought from was a Greek guy by the name of George, of course. So and we're still family friends, by the way. So she kept his, ethnicity in the Greek cuisine, which she picked up, and then she brought in all her Moroccan and Middle Eastern cuisine, and that's what I say, the good kind. She's definitely an incredible woman, the strongest woman I can, not because she's just my mom, definitely the strongest woman I can label for sure, and just an incredible entrepreneur. And I see where we get that in our DNA. All my siblings were business owners, and I took that path as well too. So definitely followed mom's path, and that was the type of restaurant. They were all, her ethnicity and her magical hands that made it happen.
Man, entrepreneurship is in your blood, bro. It sounds like you. I mean, it's certainly in your blood. But you said 13, so they came here with effectively really nothing, right? And then
correct.
They ended up with 13 restaurants. Man, that's a serious business. That's a lot of locations to manage.
Yeah, yes, there was definitely a lot going on, and my parents, they simply understood that value of hard work and trust, and that there was no substitute for that. And that's what I grew up understanding. Hard work. Early bird gets the worm. And they literally got up. It was still dark, and they went to work. So there was like I said, I think to us in our society now, and I can speak. I have amazing 3 kids, but they have no inclination of what it really means to work hard. I can't even relate to this. This is my family, but what they went through in the beginning. But growing up all around it, I definitely, I can say I learned hard work by osmosis, and learned that there was no excuse for lack of effort. You do what you see, and they're led by example. So I always thought that, I look back and I thought, I was an average kid. I love the city. I'm a proud New Orleanian, best city on, and no offense to all other amazing cities in this great country, but I love my city. I think it's amazing. It's so unique. The food, the people, the ambiance, everything is amazing. So I look back and I thought it was just, kind of average, if you will, the normal kid. But I think I look back and I realized I wasn't that average at all. I could run a restaurant from kitchen line to a full wait staff as a teenager. So I don't think my daughters and my son could do what I did then, so that was definitely the beginning. And then in my early 20s, I was after taking a break from college, which, by the way, I'm still in that break, Bryan. You talked about a few folks that didn't finish their education. I'm definitely one of them, one for pushing 3 years, needed a break, and I'm still on that break. But my big brother was already succeeding in the Big Apple and knew that I was ready for a change from the restaurant business. So he sold me an idea. He's a great salesperson. He sold me an idea of moving to New York, and got me into the retail space with him.
Wow. So, man, there's so much to this. So you were running, like, you were working in the restaurant. You were waiting tables, working the line, doing all of that as a teenager. Like, so it was a family business. I mean, you guys rolled up your sleeves, you did whatever it took, and then your brother convinced you to move from New Orleans to New York. Man, that's a serious change up. What was that like?
Well, what's that old song? you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, right? So well, definitely when I got to New York, I started working in the same computer store with my brother.
Man, so were you into computers? It's a little different than the restaurant business, right?
I would say so. I would definitely say so. But no, I was not into computers at all. I didn't own a computer. I don't think I even sarcastically even turned one on prior to even getting into that business. So no computer history at all. I didn't know anything about computers, but the truth is quitting wasn't an option, and we hear this, and that's something we can mimic for all the amazing partners that we have. And I know Bryan, we heard my buddy Alan Town said that. That's not an option. Losing is not an option. Quitting wasn't an option. So I started actually, so again, my brother did a great job. Told me, hey, these young guys are making, a couple of $1,000 a week, come take a change, take that leap, come here, stay with me. I got your back. And so I'm like, that sounds good. You know what? I'm ready for a change. So packed up my stuff, got to the Big Apple, amazing city, had family there, but I got to that store and, the reality was setting in now. It was time to go to work, but I didn't know anything about computers, so they told my brother, the owners of the store, said, listen, let's put him in the stock room, let him kind of touch and feel the boxes and learn. So I started as a stock boy, because I didn't know anything about computers. And this was my first true test. You always look back in those little pinpoints in your life. And I would say 100%, this was the first true test of my perseverance as a working adult outside the family businesses. I was either going to break or put my head down and go to work, so I'll never forget my salary, Bryan. These calls are so amazing because you said, when would you have a chance to have a cup of coffee and sit down and get to know somebody? So I'm compelled to share this as well too, as Alan and some of these amazing folks did as well too. So I never forget this. My salary was $400, a far cry from what I expected when I moved there, $400 a week. And after taxes, I should have taken a picture of it, was $299 after taxes. So not near the six figures I was sold on for sure, but eventually I left that store with more experience and definitely a lot more confidence and moved further into that retail space. And with hard work and created a respectful reputation in that industry, it allowed me to work my way up within a couple stores and eventually became a general manager of a store as well.
Man, that is incredible. It's amazing how you remember a lot of people. Like, I mean, I hear this a lot. Like, people go, man, you guys are really successful. You've done some great things. You must have always, been like that or whatever. And you're like, bro, you have no idea how hard it was in the early days. And how, like, all we were living on was a prayer, to quote Bon Jovi, right? I mean, it was like, yes. That's all we got here, is we're just trying to just to get by, right? And
yes.
And it comes back to that survival mentality. I think, like your mom and dad were talking about, is like, we're going to survive, and we're not surviving just to get by. We're surviving so we can thrive down the road and in the future, and that obviously had a big impact, on you to continue to grow. So man, I'm just intrigued by this. How did you end up going from Israel to New Orleans to New York to working in restaurants to retail to working in the insurance business?
Well, at first, it's I want to say this: you got to take some bold chances. That's for sure too. So you gotta be bold. You got to believe in yourself. And I just wanted to mention, when I'm thinking about taking chances, I definitely want to get to that as well too. I laughed at myself as well too, and I'm thinking, the person who took the biggest chance was definitely my. You talking about humble beginnings, and people don't see, they just see the kind of the success, if you will. But my amazing wife took the biggest chance of her life. She said yes to marrying me and gambled on I guess we'll call it my future stock value, that was going to increase because it was surely a penny stock then, and she stuck with me when we had nothing, so I believe it in her heart, she knew that I would never let her down on my family. So, that's when we started our family, man, and we had our first daughter, and Ariel, who's 17 now, which is amazing. And I soon found a need to become a better husband and a better father, in a sense of time, because retail wasn't going to allow me to do that. So, yes, went from Israel to New Orleans and New York, and opened up the restaurants. And I can definitely say, it was a challenging time. It was hard work, but I was used to it, everything that I had done in the past. And in fact, I expected that move to be hard to New York. And it wasn't supposed to be easy. Nothing is easy. And I never saw anything come easy to us. So I expected it to be hard. And I think that set of expectations, without them being false expectations, although I expected a higher salary, didn't expect to be a star guy, but I definitely, I wanted to be great at what I did. I took pride in my work, definitely in my work ethic, and simply knew that failure was not an option. And my wife decided she should quit her job in New York City to be the wonderful mother that she is. So I didn't have a choice but to succeed. And I was the youngest and greenest guy in that office when I got into insurance. And that's the reason why I made that jump. It was time to get out of retail and get that insurance license. And I was in a new industry, eager to learn and succeed, and didn't have any bad habits to break, which was a good thing. So I remember, Bryan, people around me were succeeding at levels I could only wish for at that time, and they were booking 12 appointments for the week. So I worked until I had 18 appointments for the week. I knew that my work ethic can supersede their talents and definitely get me to the finish line first. They have 12, I'll have 18. I should win the race here, right? So I remember getting leads on a Friday afternoon and immediately start pounding the phones. I would call until 9 p.m. And Saturday mornings, we're on vacation, I'm home, doesn't matter where we are, I would work the phone until noon. And I believe, Ron, honestly, that discipline, that relentless effort, and the hunger for success just allowed me to be recognized as a top producer for that office and the company. And ironically, the same exact office produced this superstar, guy, this rock star status guy, a couple years before I got there. And I think you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Bryan McCann.
Wow, that is, first of all, like that is what. Like, one of the common threads, like you heard this with Lenny Anderson. You've heard this with all these great partners. You heard this with Allentown. You heard this with Sean Mike. I could just go through all of these. Tom Sheath talking about going and he could have even packed up, or he would have and gone to get somebody else to pull him out of the mud, or he could go back and help that family and work with them. You hear this common thread, like the key element to success. To me, it hasn't been education. It's not education. It's not, a silver spoon in your mouth. It's, an inheritance or something. It's truly, I honestly, it's not even like the smartest people. It's like, it is really and truly the hard work that you'll put in. And so being willing to get on the phone and work till 9 o'clock at night, be willing to work until noon on Saturday, like be willing to take that extra effort that other people aren't willing to do, be willing to drive 300 miles a day, like Lenny was talking about on yesterday's podcast. Like it's the one common thing I've learned through this entire series that we've been doing here is like the key element to success is people really having that visionary future, being bold, being willing to take the chance, but also be willing to work and do whatever it takes to get a different life, a better life for their family. And man, that just continues to just ring true, and it's so fascinating to where we're hearing you guys talk and just that commonality. Bryan, you mentioned Bryan again. Bryan, we had planned on kind of going back and forth with both of you guys, but I got so sucked into Avi's story that it's just so fascinating to me how people go from Morocco to Israel to New Orleans to New York, and then now to being the success that Avi has. You also, Bryan, have an amazing story about what it took. You didn't have a silver spoon in your mouth either, bro. And you had to get there through hard work as well. Unfortunately, we're running out of time here on today's podcast, and we'd planned on kind of covering both of these today. But would you be willing to come back on Monday, whenever we get back together, would you be willing to, and I hate to do this to you because I know you guys are busy, but would you be willing to come back and let's pick this conversation back up? And I'd like for both of y'all to be back on, but Bryan, let's maybe take that transition to what Avi just said. Is he got in this agency and there was some other guy named Bryan McCann who was number one in that agency, and I assume, Avi, that was the guy you were aiming for, right? I mean, that was the guy you were like, man, I'm going to go beat that guy. Is that kind of how it worked?
That's pretty close, man. I heard about this number one guy. He was the number one guy, the insurance carrier that we were selling, the main product. So I heard about him through that, and he was the number one guy at the agency that I worked at. And he was some hot shot named Bryan McCann who shattered all these records. And but he, I can say the opportunity he moved to Florida. He had that opportunity to move to Florida to build a region before we actually met. So I just heard of this guy, this Bryan McCann presence guy. So I definitely wanted to become the top guy myself. And although he didn't know this, and I don't know if he knows this, I was 100% inspired and motivated by his success. And I remember the first time we met, I'm like, oh man, I of course knew who he was, Bryan McCann, but I was very pleased that he actually knew and heard about me. So it was immediate, hey, what's up? Oh, of course, Avi, how you doing? So it was rewarding for me. And we definitely struck an instant friendship. And shortly after, I had an opportunity to move and grow my family, grow my organization in DC metro area, which I'm still residing in. And Bryan and I became great friends. I would say more like brothers, of course, and sincerely wished each other great success throughout our journey. But we always said that our goal was to just beat each other by $1, just for bragging rights. So you could say you could say it was definitely a game of friendly rivalry, I guess.
Well, Bryan, I literally, man, I know I'm asking a lot of you, but would you be willing to come back on Monday and let us pick this conversation up? Because I can't wait to hear your side of this story, because I want to hear who beat who on that dollar, and so let's leave that for Monday if you're willing to do that. Bryan, are you willing to do that, brother?
Oh, come on! I'm enjoying this so much. Again, you're really you really underestimate your amazing talents. He is, trust me, a lot of people were trying to follow and emulate Avi. And first of all, to answer your question, not a problem at all. I'm actually used to this guy going on and on and on and on and on. So we're good.
It's amazing.
We're good, and I'm ready.
He is the best, man. I like that. Yeah. Talk about true American success story, man. Like you get to read about these people in books, but here in Integrity, we have them as partners, and these are friends that we get to learn from and get to know about. And I know, man, I know some of your story, Bryan, and how you took different paths to get here, and it wasn't all rosy either, bro. And so everybody, if you will, I can't wait for you to join us again on Monday so that we can pick this story back up, because you don't want to miss Bryan McCann's side of this and really what it took for him to become successful, because there's a lot for us to learn as well. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on today's Inspire podcast. I can't wait to talk to you again Monday. Bryan and Avi, we're going to pick this up, my men. You guys are just two joys to be around. Now people understand, like when I said when we started, why whenever we'd be at a conference, I'd always try to gravitate to you guys, because I'm always just excited to learn more about y'all's story, and I can't wait to do that on Monday. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and look forward to picking this conversation up on Monday and hearing Bryan's side of the story.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bryan. You're so appreciated, and we love you, man. Thank you so much for everything.
Love you guys. Yes, can't wait. And hey, y'all have a great weekend. Y'all enjoy yourselves, enjoy your families, and look forward to catching up on Monday. God bless you guys all. Take care. Bye.